You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. Do you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
This. What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Hey there, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Earth Station Who podcast. That's right, folks. We are back. And guess what, folks? We are talking about the Third Doctor era. That's right. We are looking at The Colony in Space, a 1971 six-parter, which we had to sit through, and we enjoyed. Featured Joe Grant as the companion, John Pertwee as the Doctor, and Roger Delgado as the Master. And it was a lot of fun. The chemistry between them is awesome, because I think this is only, is this the third time the Master appeared at this point?
Sure.
I think so. Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Yeah, I think so. So it's early on in that. So it's pretty awesome. And we got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with this one. And we got a great crew lined up to talk all about it. Joining us, going way, way back, we have Dave West rejoining us. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, Phantomaniacs. It's good to be back.
Yeah. Wow. God, I missed that.
Well, you can hear it every week on the Needless Things podcast.
Well, you can, but not on our show. So it's, no. But yes, for those who don't remember, Dave was actually the original co-host of the Earth Station Who podcast.
What did I get, 100 episodes?
You made it to episode 100. And
then
you bailed on us. You're like,
that
I am so done with you guys.
I got real busy. I'm still real busy. This is actually and I'm not trying to sound all like awesome or anything, but this is a special occasion because I don't go on other people's shows anymore. I just don't have time.
No, I totally understand that.
I know you understand.
I do understand that completely, but it's great to have you back. It really is. It's
great to be back.
You've been
When
missed.
I got the invitation, I was excited to make time for this.
Well, don't ever forget us when you become big and famous. That's all we ask.
You've been saying that for a decade, Mike.
I know. And, he said, he'll go, okay, I'll come back with you guys. What the hell? But it's great, dude. And we also have our regulars with us. We, of course, have Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here. Is
it kind of weird to have your past regeneration here?
It's always weird to have another reincarnation sitting in with you.
Exactly. It was an interesting episode when Dave, regenerated into Mary, but, it was pretty awesome, though.
The very special episode.
Oh, very much so. And, then, of course, Mr. Howdy Mike himself, Mr. Michael Gordon is here.
Howdy.
Welcome back, sir. Ready for a fun Pertwee episode?
Absolutely.
So it should
but
be.
Instead, you got this one.
Wow. Oh, it's going to be a fun one tonight, folks. It really is. It's a good one to chat about. We'll go as far as we can with it. We'll see where we go. But, we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Please let me know how you guys are doing. What's been going on with you guys? How's 2021 so far? We have, come to you a couple times, and, we definitely want to hear what you guys have thought about our episodes. What do you guys want to see with us? Please, of course, as always, write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. If if you have friends who are Doctor Who fans, tell them about us. And you guys have been doing that. We've been getting more listeners, and thank you for that. And to our 5 regulars out there, we really appreciate you. We really, really do. Please, wherever fine podcasts are found, you can find Earth Station Who. We're even now up on Amazon and Audible.com. So you can hear us, and you could even go, "Hey, Alexa, listen to the Earth Station Who podcast." And it's pretty darn awesome because Alexa will take you there. So it's pretty cool. So definitely, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, shout it from your rooftops. Earth Station Who. Definitely would appreciate that. No real new Doctor Who news to talk about at the time. But before we started recording, Dave actually brought up and was talking about some Doctor Who toys. We actually haven't, dived into that for a bit, and it's pretty awesome. Dave, you want to bring up what you were talking about?
Yeah, since I was coming back to the show, toys are my thing, and I had to bring some Doctor Who toy news with me. It's not necessarily recent, but it may be something that your listeners aren't aware of. Character options or underground toys have had kind of a dry spell for the last few years as far as the 5-inch action figure line goes. But a few months ago, it was actually a little prior to the holidays, a bunch of figures popped up on Amazon. If you go to Amazon or smile.amazon.com, where you can select a charity to donate to with every purchase you make, you can see a ton of new and reissued figures. There are a number of Dalek 2-packs from specific episodes like the Daleks Master Plan, Dalek Invasion of Earth, lots of the stylized different looks of the Daleks. And then there are also several 3-packs of the Doctor's companions. There's one with Romana, both versions of Romana, and then Sarah Jane. There is, of course, this is one of my favorites that I ordered immediately, from Terror of the Zygons, the 4th Doctor with his scarf, or his tartan scarf and his tam o' shanter, and 2 unit officers. And then another variation 3-pack with 2 different versions of Romana and Sarah Jane. Just all kinds of really cool new decos that we haven't seen on these characters before, and they're all very affordable, right around $25-$30 each, which if you've collected these in the past, those prices are great for 3 figures.
Mm-hmm.
And then also they have reissued a number of the Doctor and TARDIS sets. If you remember those from 8-9 years ago, maybe from the 50th anniversary, now that I'm thinking about it, they released Doctor and TARDIS sets for each of the Doctors, and it was the electronic flight TARDIS that had all the lights and sounds and everything.
Right.
And it was a little pricey, but they've reissued those without the electronics. So now for about $25, you can get, they did the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 7th Doctors, I believe. There might be more, and I just haven't found them yet, because Amazon's not always the easiest to search if it's not a big mainstream item you're looking for. But if you need, like I didn't have a 2nd Doctor TARDIS, and I don't need the lights and sounds because I've got 1 lights and sounds TARDIS, and that's good enough for me. So I ordered that one, and it's an accurate version of that model for a great price. So there's a lot of stuff has been popping up over the past few months that it's really cool to see this range refreshed again, because it was a collection that I loved, that even though I didn't have Doctor Who figures as a kid, it made me feel like a kid, because that's what I wanted more than anything back then, was Doctor Who toys. And now they're back in a pretty significant way, and I think it's great.
That is awesome. Yeah, I used to have, when they were started with 9 and then 10 and going into 11 with the 5-inch figures, I used to have pretty much as they came out, I would get them. And I had,
because at the time you were like, this may be it.
Yeah.
We're going to buy every one of these that comes out.
These are Doctor Who toys. Exactly.
Right. When is it going to go away?
And, I spent a pretty picture, even the spider, princess or whatever.
Yeah.
And, and there was some great stuff. But then they switched to the smaller ones, to the 3 3.25.
That lasted about 2 years and just bombed. And with the 13th Doctor, the first thing that I saw after that, where they kind of had a little bit of a resurgence, was her figure. They did a 5-inch figure of her. And it was kind of like, hey, we're back. We're doing these again. but then they released her, and that was it. And there was nothing for a while. I think they did a version of her with the jacket and a version without the jacket. And that was all I saw for quite some time. But now there's like I said, there's been a little bit of a resurgence over the past several months here. So there are, if the dry spell was getting to you, there are Doctor Who figures to be had again. And we can hope that one day we'll get a classic TARDIS control room.
That would be awesome.
It boggles my mind that they never made that.
You need the round things. Everybody needs the round things.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Which is awesome. But yeah, I used to love those. Those were awesome. And I dare not start collecting those on top of
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Judy might have something to say about that.
Oh, jeez. God, yeah. But because it's interesting because, my big thing right now is still the Funkos. And I know I've been hearing rumors going around that Funko is letting the licensing for their Doctor Who toys go off right now. They'll probably come back eventually, but, with no new Doctor Who. But they also didn't do any new Doctor Who figures for this last season, if you noticed. They did the season before with the Kablam and some other characters, even the new Dalek. But this last season, they didn't do any, which is really interesting.
I will say that the series doesn't seem to be giving them a lot of options on what to make toys of. I mean, part of it is that, I'm like, what would you want a toy of?
Well,
from the last season.
The new Master.
Okay, that's fair. Have we got any Masters as Funko figures?
You have a Missy.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
But they don't have, they don't have a classic like Delgado or Ainley Master. Or even Johnson.
I think I was frustrated because they never really did. I figured it was a no-brainer that they were going to give us at least every incarnation of the Doctor. But I think they've only given us a handful of them.
Yeah, they have a color and a black and white version of Doctor One. I don't think they did 2 or 3, but they did.
I don't think so either.
They did Tom. They did a couple versions of Tom. They didn't do Peter or Colin or Sylvester, and then they of course did. They didn't do 8, but they did 9, and they've done tons of Tennant, done tons of Matt Smith, tons of Capaldi, and they've done 3 different.
Did they do a War Doctor?
Did they do? I don't think they did a War Doctor, which would have been interesting if they would have.
It's really bizarre for Funko to not hit every nook of license that they have. I wonder if maybe they just didn't have anybody on board who understood what to do with Doctor Who, because it sounds to me like they hit what was popular at the time and what they knew was popular, like Tom Baker, for instance, and didn't really dive much deeper. I wonder if they just didn't have somebody with the knowledge to curate that line.
Because they did 3 different versions of the TARDIS. They did a regular standing TARDIS, but they also did the TARDIS that got decorated and painted on from the last Clara episode. And then they also did a materializing TARDIS, which is half transparent. And I don't have that one, but I've seen it. There's only, I think, 2 or 3 figures that I don't have of the Doctor Who. And that was the 13th Doctor that they had at San Diego Comic-Con with her in the jacket that they did. And that's going for something like $400 now. And I'm not spending that kind of money.
I don't understand why you don't have that one.
And then they have a Capaldi in the spacesuit. And I think that one I saw was like $260. But I think I have all the other ones. I even have like Amy Pond. I even have Rose. Yes, I do. And
I wonder if they just don't. I mean, I don't know how Funko does outside of the United States, or I should say continental, North America, because, obviously if they were targeting British audiences, I would think that all the other former Doctors would have been a no-brainer. But maybe in the States, that's not that lucrative for them to consider doing that.
No, that's true. It's very possible. But I know Funko's very popular in the UK and in Europe and Asia. It's huge. I even get emails from Australia with Funkos and such. And because that's usually my go-to is getting the stuff from Australia that I can't get at cons here, because they usually put them out exclusively for Australia also. And it's pretty awesome.
It's very strange, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's a history though of the BBC not knowing how to market the show. I think we've talked about that many times.
Yeah,
and
that's also
that's for sure.
For a company that's really like, you know, focused on making money, they leave a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's surprising because there's a demand for it, and I've seen custom made of the second Doctor and third Doctor, but it's obviously custom, and it's not up to the same quality as the stuff that Funko pops out. So, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, also I saw that Build-A-Bear just announced this last month that they are doing the 11th Doctor now. So you can actually now get Doctor 10, Doctor 11, and Doctor 13. So it's pretty awesome to see. And if you're into Build-A-Bear, it's pretty awesome. They also do a Dalek, but it doesn't look anything like a bear. So
weird. I'm trying to think if they've done anything that's just straight up not a bear before. I'm sure they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
But
I think some of their Star Wars ones. I think they've done.
Have they done an R2D2?
I think they did BB-8 and maybe R2.
Okay, yeah. I know they did a BB-8.
Yeah. So they've done droids before, but I have a Chewbacca.
You have a Chewbacca?
I have a Build a Chewie, Build a Wookiee.
Aw, that's cute. Yeah, they even have. It's pretty.
And I
awesome.
bet they must have Baby Yoda there.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, there's no way.
Baby Yoda's everywhere at this point.
Yeah,
that's pretty much a given. But it's pretty cool, you know, the different toys and everything. And I know they did, you know, Jodie's sonic screwdriver, and you know, you can get all that type of stuff out there. So, you know, I know friends of mine have every single one of the sonic screwdrivers that they put out, and I think I had most of them. But we used to have them set up at cons on the table, and people used to ask us, "Oh, how much are you selling those for?" And I would say, "Oh, they're not for sale." Then Judy would slap me, "Why aren't you selling them? You can get a lot of money for them." And so I no longer have them. So
all right, then you can get more.
Exactly. Oh, definitely. Because and it's pretty cool with that. But you could definitely get, you know, the Doctor Who toys of your dreams still, and it's pretty awesome. And hopefully BBC will get their heads out of their asses and, you know, pretty much.
Yeah, don't count on that.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, look, if they want to leave that, like I said, those opportunities on the table, then so be it. But I guess it's less tempting for my pocketbook then. So every once in a while, I'm like, ooh, I'd like to get that. The aforementioned, you know, Terror of the Zygon figures. I'm like, ooh, that would be awesome. But yeah, I don't have to worry about it because they don't, you know, they trip over themselves not doing stuff. Right?
Yeah, exactly. The Terror of the Zygon set, you know, the one that has Harry leaving the show. That's pretty awesome. So it's awesome. But yeah, so definitely we'd love to hear from you guys at home. What would you guys want to see toy-wise? You know, what would you want to see an all Funko, all the Doctors like in one set? Would that be kind of cool? Have all, you know, 14 of them now. So, and, you know, do 15. Why not, you know, throw in Peter Cushing's Doctor too?
I would love to see that. That would be fantastic. I'd love to see Daleks from that, but that's an entirely different licensing deal. So it would be a whole other can of worms.
Oh yeah. Oh, another character I just thought of that would have been great for Funko to do. It would have been awesome to see a Ruth Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been pretty cool to see.
Yes. Yeah, I think, like I said,
and we still have not had a Graham Funko. Come on.
There is a Ruth Doctor figure though, right?
Dave?
I am not keeping track of the modern stuff at all. All the classics.
I think I've seen one.
I have not seen one for sale, but that doesn't mean there's not one on the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to look it up maybe for next time.
I'm only vaguely aware of who Ruth even is.
Okay. That's understandable. So, all right, let's take a quick break, and we will be back, and we are going to be talking all about Colony in Space.
I'm Brittany Smino. I'm Martha Bartlett. And this is But First, Let's Talk Nerdy. Clink. Oh, how was that? That's going to be our promo. Done. Cut it, Kevin. Send it. Bam.
But first, let's talk nerdy. It's two nerd girls talking about nerdy things over a couple of drinks. What could go wrong? Part of the ESO Network.
Welcome back. Now we are going back to April 10th, 1971, and we are talking all about Colony in Space, a six-parter written by Malcolm Hook and script edited by Terrence Dix, directed by Michael Bryant. And it's going to be interesting because this is the third appearance of the Master. It's the first time Jo Grant actually goes into space, and she actually even goes into the TARDIS for the first time. So she didn't even think the thing, oh, Doctor, stop playing around. Let's get out of here. And, you know, and I loved it, you know, the Brigadier, you come back this instant. And the TARDIS actually did. It actually worked.
This is, it's interesting because I'm sort of hot and cold on Jo Grant. I guess I've been spoiled because we've been reviewing some later episodes with her. And so I'd forgotten that, like, her first, I think, season, she was pretty bad, actually. Like
screaming nitty.
Screaming nitty.
Yeah.
You know, I think speaking of former co-hosts, I think one of them referring to her as a big ball of hair,
big dumb ball of hair.
Big dumb ball of hair. Yeah,
let's get it right.
It was kind of, you know, she spends the first episode or two just like wanting to go back. She doesn't want to go into space. She doesn't want to go on the planet. She doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to do that. And I was like, this is annoying. It's been a while since I've seen a companion that didn't want to do stuff, you know?
But to be fair to her, it's not like she said, take me off on great adventures. She just followed him into the TARDIS and then it left. It like, I could kind of relate. You know, when I was younger, I would have been yes, let's go to another planet, Doctor. That sounds awesome. But at this point in my life, if I ended up on another planet unexpectedly, I would be furious. Like, I could really relate to Jo in this. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry. Don't you know I have to get to work?
Yeah,
Don't you know I
do.
I have the new episode of Superman and Lois to watch? Come on, you know.
Well, let's not get ridiculous.
Well, that's funny as heck. But yeah, and it's just it's very interesting that you have, you know, her, you know, who's supposed to be a trained agent, you know, a trained spy, and you know, and of course she's thrown with the Doctor as a lab assistant, basically, and the Doctor's been telling her, oh, Jo, we're going to go into space once I get this fixed, and they actually do, you know, remote controlled, but they go, and oh my God, some of the worst TARDIS effects ever.
Oh yeah, what was up with that?
Materialize. It's just like
it just
loops in.
It's like that was the saddest thing I'd ever seen.
It had been so long since the TARDIS had left Earth. Even the producers were like, "We don't remember how this works.
How do we do this?" I don't. Well, and I wanted to ask you guys because I haven't watched any Doctor Who from this era in years. So when that happened, I actually couldn't remember, like, was there a time when it did this?
This was the only time, because once they got it back, and, you know, because this is one or two times before the three Doctors that he actually goes into space.
Right. Yeah, and that was when this episode started off. I was like, wait a minute, this is a little early, because I remember him being earthbound for longer than this far in. But this is because it's under the Time Lord's control, which, by the way, can we talk about how different these Time Lords are from other Time Lords we see throughout the series?
Yeah. Yes and no. These are the Time Lords you actually see in the War Games. You even have some of the same actors who were in the War Games.
Yeah, because this only their second appearance?
Kind of, yes. Well,
because they were at the end of War Games, and then
at the end of War Games, and you also see a Time Lord at the beginning of the season when he warns the Doctor that the Master is now on Earth.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
and everything.
Yeah, but they're just not what we think of now.
No,
and
it's not
right.
the high collars,
right? And that's what I grew up with. So the big wild collars are like my Time Lord guys, and they carried that forward into the new series as well.
You got a nice big high collar on the blind alien guy.
Oh my gosh, that thing was so creepy. That little tiny brain alien.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And then there was an even tinier one. That was one of the worst puppets
what
I've
was
ever
up
seen
with
in my
that?
life.
And because I knew it was a Master story, this is my first time seeing this one, and I knew tons of times in especially the Pertwee era when the Master appeared, just a lot of times he was in disguise. And not this one. No,
they didn't even bother.
They didn't even bother.
Well, even more often than that, though, he's not even in disguise. He just pops up. As a matter of fact, the story prior to this one, oh gosh, what the heck is it called?
The one before this,
Claws of Axos.
No, there was the Mind of Evil, which was his second
Claws
story.
of Axos is the one I'm thinking of.
Okay,
where it's a similar situation where they get to the halfway through the story or whatever, and a chair turns around and it's like, it's you. Every time Roger Delgado gets his I'm in this episode or in this story reveal, I think of Wallace and Gromit when he pulls the glove off of the penguin's head and goes, it's you.
And it's true. It's the Master. I knew it. But yeah, and because I remember when we watched Mind of Evil, and the the Master was working at a university, and he was, he had the whole thing when he even had his own companions, people working under him in the lab, and they thought he was the scientist, and he was treating them almost fairly, and because they were building what he needed to, control this other mind. And
evil can be nice.
Yeah.
To be fair, the Master doesn't know that the Doctor's not, sequestered still on Earth. So why would he have to, disguise himself?
Why would he bother?
Yeah, that's true.
He's just like, I'm out in space. I'm in the future. Doctor can't get to me. I'm just going to, why bother putting on a stupid mask? I'm just going to breathe,
I'm just going to show up.
And I did think his adjudicator outfit was kind of Time Lord-ish. It didn't have the big collar in the back, but it still looked pretty Gallifreyan to me.
He looked more Time Lordish than the other Time
Lords.
And
I do give the director credit for trying to hide who he was till the reveal. I thought that was pretty well done.
Oh, very much so. But the whole time I was seeing those other aliens and such, I was expecting the Master to be one of them, or was the Master running the mining spaceship, or was that's how my mind was working in this. It was just
that probably would have worked better
than
what they came up with.
And it was just what are you going to do, dude? Are you going to, where is he going to come? And so you didn't see the Master till the third episode of this.
Yeah.
But not that you would have noticed, because it felt like they were just trading barbs between the miners and the colonists the whole time.
Well, that's all they were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of padding in this. This is 6 episodes. It feels like 60 episodes.
It's one of the classic Doctor Who tropes because really watching this one, like I said, I haven't watched anything from this era in a while, and particularly in the second, third, and early fourth Doctor seasons, whatever eras, they have 3 or 4 stories that they tell over and over again in different ways. I mean, that's Doctor Who, but it kind of made me appreciate that, because it's almost, and look, I'm getting ready to take a leap here, you guys, so just hang on, stick with me. Doctor Who's almost a little like Shakespeare in that they have these basic stories, but you get different creators, different cast members, different sets, and they get told in different ways, and that's part of what's so interesting about it. Like, you can go watch A Midsummer Night's Dream. The same production company can do it, and it's going to be different every night. But you can see lots of different ways of putting that play on, but it's the same words every time. And it struck me that Doctor Who's kind of the same way. Like, watching this one, we've seen this same story where you've got your good humans just trying to get by and your evil corporation trying to take advantage of everybody. Like, it's these themes are over and over and over again in Doctor Who. It's just how the creators handle them at the time. And that's where I got my fun out of this story, was seeing those themes and just watching them be presented a little bit differently with different faces.
Yeah, well, that's even a science fiction trope.
Sure, absolutely.
The colonists fighting the evil
corporation,
whatever they are, corporation or empire. I mean, Star Wars uses that theme.
When are we going to see evil colonists fighting a good corporation? let's flip it on its head.
That's never going to happen.
No.
Stupid liberal media. I think.
Hey, Snowflake, stop it.
This was the first time I'd seen this one, and yeah, I mean, I thought I did myself a favor and I broke it up. I didn't watch all 6 episodes. Like, I didn't binge it.
I think that was smart.
I watched a couple one day, and then I watched a couple the other day, and then finished it off last night. And so I think I wasn't able to like feel. I mean, yes, I could feel like, yeah, this is a little bit long, but it didn't feel like taxing to me. Like, oh God, I can't wait till this is over, because I generally didn't know what was going to happen. They give you enough twists and turns that throughout that you're like, oh, there's monsters. Oh, they're not really monsters. Oh, here's, the corporation are the bad guys. Oh, what, the aliens are kind of bad. Well, they're not really aliens. I guess the humans are the aliens.
Yeah, the humans are. Yeah.
Right.
So there you go. There's
the primitives,
there's
the homesteaders. Yeah, that's it.
And then the Master pops up in the 3rd episode, which I didn't know was going to happen. So that to me was I should have known, because with the 3rd Doctor stories, he just pops up all the time. But I don't take it for granted that he's going to. So I didn't know this was a Master story. I thought that originally that I'd seen this one before, but I got it confused title-wise, because I thought I had seen Frontier in Space, which obviously this is not. But
not to be confused with Ark in Space.
Yeah.
Ark in Space as well, right.
Pigs in Space.
Definitely not the last one. So,
or Revenge of the Colonists.
Although the greenish aliens in the bodysuits or whatever kind of had like pig heads.
Green pig heads.
Pig heads. Yeah. So they could have been labeled that.
And their leader was Sam I Am. That's right.
The buggies, the little vehicles that they shot. Man, those things flew like
everything.
See, now those things were fun. The gadgets were fun. The robots were fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
Fast. We have never seen a robot move this fast in the history of science fiction. That thing was hauling, and. Yeah. What was it? That's what made it so scary, is that it wasn't this lurching thing that was having trouble getting over like a small pebble in the sand. Like, it just busted in the door with its giant robot claws.
Oh, I love the claws to make it look like a dragon.
Why is it a machine with monster lizard claws?
That made no sense at all.
Like, it's very clearly meant to frame reptilian beings for murder. Like, that robot has no other purpose visually.
Exactly. No, it's definitely not a mining vehicle at all. No, and that was part of the fun of it, was that it was very, very well done. I got to watch some of the extras that they had on the DVD, and they actually had to rent those vehicles because they had nothing like those in the BBC, and because they didn't want anything that looked modern. They didn't even want like a Humvee or anything, because it was too 20th century. So that's why they had to find these vehicles,
and that's why they actually worked.
Exactly. And the thing with these vehicles, though, they had to guarantee that not one of them would be damaged during the shooting. And one got damaged. And, of course, the one scene where the styrofoam rock hits the vehicle and knocks the master and the doctor out of it onto
That's
its
awesome.
side. And it got a gash like this big in the side of it. And they said BBC had to pay through the nose.
Oh, my
for it.
gosh.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, and they were not happy with that. So it was fun though, because those vehicles were awesome. That was the best part, and better than that rocket with the firework in it that exploded.
Yeah, because I would say that the Master's TARDIS described, disguised as a spaceship, just didn't make sense to me. Because when we first see it, it's horizontal, and then it turns vertical land. I'm like, why does it have landing gear on it?
I know, it looks
like
was
that
really
kind of
weird.
ship. Why
and then
is
we
it
find
doing
out
that?
Then we find out it's a TARDIS anyway, so it can pop in and pop out. But I guess
when it turned horizontal and when it went like vertical, it was like, oh, it has to be designed by Elon Musk. It has to be.
Watch the landing. Watch the landing.
Surprised it didn't explode.
Yeah.
But to Dave's point, one of the other things that I like about especially classic Who is when the storyline is kind of drawn out or whatever, a lot of times they get these quality Shakespearean actors to appear in them, and so it does kind of give it a weight. Even the silliest dialogue still has some weight to it in the proper delivered in the proper delivery.
Yeah, mustache guy. One of the colonists, the guy with the mustache. I wish I'd written his name down, but I didn't.
Yeah.
He was great. He had gravitas. You got invested in who he was and what he was doing. He had importance to the plot, which I feel like, and I'd be interested to know if you guys agree, it seemed to me they made a little better use of the cast. Like more of the colonists felt important and like they were doing things than we see a lot of times in Doctor Who. Like usually they're one or two sort of central supporting actors. One of them dies for sure. And then there's one left at the end to wave goodbye to the TARDIS when they leave. But in this instance, we had 4 or 5 people that all felt like as I was watching this, I remembered their faces as the story went along, as opposed to not being sure who was who.
Yeah, and I thought that the company guy, the bad guy, the main captain there was very evil looking.
Yeah, he was good.
He was
actually made a really good villain.
You have his odd job henchman, right? That's doing all the dirty work, and then you have the guy underneath him that is subverting him, is actually agreeing with the colonists. So so you've got a full range of characters here. Plus, you've got this whole alien civilization, or I should say the primitives, quote unquote. And then we find out that they've got these weird, little guys with them. And then a very strange little puppet guy, which I'm sorry, I love that puppet guy.
Don't get me wrong.
He made no sense at all.
I loved the puppet guy, but he was made by somebody who had never seen puppetry before.
Oh, no.
He looked like a sock puppet gone bad. I mean,
he looked like, do you guys remember Mr. Show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Mr. Show sketch about a band called Titanica, and it features David Cross in a hospital bed with little, his arms and legs look like hot dogs because he fell into an acid pool. This reminded me of that.
I could see that. Yeah, his body had shrunken up, but his head was still full size.
Yes. Which, granted, I mean that's where we're going to be in 1,200 years, but whatever.
Oh, of course.
That's the way it's going.
But that's one of my problems with this one is that the quote unquote primitives are not developed at all.
Right.
I mean, they are just incidental, and then they pretty much blow up at the end.
Well, they're there.
The Doctor does not care.
They're there for the whole. They are. They're a sideshow to the whole thing. Right. But it is the core of the plot of, well, you had the super weapon, and what happened to your society once this super weapon was developed? Did it do anything good for you guys at all? We did get that at the end where we had that fantastic Master and Doctor sort of showdown with the little puppet guy in attendance. Really nice acting and dialogue. That scene was very dramatic, despite the presence of a little foam rubber man.
But that doesn't come till the very end. And
right.
I felt like we would have cared more if they had spent some time developing, so maybe at least one character among the primitives.
They did struggle a little bit because really the only sense we got that they were even important was once the Master did show up. He was so focused on the primitive ruins. Primitive. Yeah. And the way that they say primitive ruins throughout this, it's like it's the name of a city.
Yes.
We need to visit primitive ruins. There's a new deli in primitive ruins. But that's really, they did struggle a little bit giving context to the primitives, but I think that was partially because how much could they give away without dropping that was kind of the plot in the end, because it was a nice surprise at the end that they did tie into everything the way that they did.
I think you could have. I've seen that. I mean, it's not like this is a new theme. I've seen it done better. They could have developed them somewhat.
Look, I'm not surprised that an English show doesn't treat the primitives very well.
It was very colonial. It definitely was on the side of the colonists.
Oh, very much so. And, it had the, happy ending for the colonists, because that super weapon was destroyed, the radiation that was destroying their crops, now they can grow. And
that made no sense at all. Just because you've destroyed the source of the radiation is still there. In the soil.
It was kind of like
Doctor
an old 80s cartoon
just poof,
where they finally get it to rain and that solves all the problems.
Yeah,
right.
It's that kind of radiation. If you can't see it, it's not there. I despite the some of the wonky writing, I did like some of the dialogue, particularly with the Doctor. My favorite, I think, line was when one of the colonists ask him if he's some kind of scientist, and he says, "I'm every kind of scientist." Like, I just thought that was such a Doctor's line to say. Exactly. I also like the scene where the Master is trying to tempt the Doctor to join him, and what I was surprised by was that the Doctor seems to be considering it. Like, John Pertwee actually gives us about a second or two where he's like, maybe I could see. Nah, I better not do that. Like,
it's like when Data considers, the Borg Queen's offer. He spent 2.00001 millisecond considering that.
But it's the classic evil thought process that the Master is tempting him with. We could rule and bring peace to the galaxy. It's the Emperor and Vader, or Vader and Luke, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's that old. Yeah, I'm evil, but under my control, things might be a little smoother.
The trains might run on time.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, right. To get even
but
darker.
Yeah, I'm a bad guy, but if you're with me, maybe you won't make me that bad. I can get better, right?
Yeah,
you'll be my conscience, basically.
Which is an interesting dynamic between the Master and the Doctor, even this early in their relationship. Like this is only, as you said, Mike, the third or fourth appearance of the Master, and yet already we're seeing that the Master doesn't just hate the Doctor and want to kill him. He wants the Doctor to kind of join him, and he wants to have adventures with him.
Yeah, I always find that a more interesting take on the Master than when he's just out and out trying to destroy the Doctor. It makes it much more interesting that they have this nuanced relationship where, they kind of hate and love each other all at the same time.
But he still wanted to hold the galaxy hostage.
Well,
he
sure.
was
He's
for
still the
what?
Master.
Yeah. He's still the Master.
He's still the Master.
But he's not a good guy.
No.
Evil can be nice.
Right, exactly.
And he seems to take care of his TARDIS better than the Doctor does. Because the interior of his TARDIS always looks like really modern and clean, whereas the Doctor's doesn't look that good.
The Doctor's a bad housekeeper.
Yes. The Doctor, unfortunately for him, one of the walls of his TARDIS is very clearly a painting. So,
wow.
That's all. Well, in the older TARDISes, that's all that they can afford.
That's a compliment, because I wouldn't have called it a painting.
No,
it's just
definitely not.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Which is, because the Master's TARDIS doesn't have like a flat side to it that we see. It just got, it's pretty good looking. But.
Oh yeah, no.
Which is weird because I would imagine they just repurposed the two. I don't think they actually had like two backgrounds or two whatever. I think they probably just relit the other one or something. But
it was just slightly different lighting, and it had tubes to hold the people hostage. That was it.
I did find it odd that the minute that Joe Grant gets in there, she's like, I want to leave. I don't want to be in here anymore. And I'm like, the TARDIS is huge. Do you know he's got a pool?
You could have your own bedroom in here. Come on.
Exactly.
With bunk beds. Come on.
You've only seen one room. Like, this is... No. But, so I can't say that there was really any great Joe Grant moments in this. I mean, there's a couple times where she has empathy for, some of the colonists but I don't think there's anything that she does, with any agency in this storyline.
No, she's really just not giving hardly anything to do.
She easily could have been not in the story at all, and it wouldn't have made any difference.
John Pertwee, on the other hand, is an action-packed ball of fire.
Oh my God, he is awesome.
Several instances of Venusian Aikido. I haven't said it in all. Is that right? Is that what he does?
I think
yes,
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fantastic Time Lord martial art.
Two fingers to the chest. Lord,
it's Venusian.
Oh, dude, he was flipping
to the chest.
Yes. He was flipping aliens with a stick. It was awesome.
Yes,
Oh wait, sorry, natives. Yeah.
I love how kinetic he is. He, despite his appearance as being, an older gentleman, like he runs, he jumps, he fights. Like he is a very active doctor. He's not just a doddering on the sidelines. He doesn't need a young hunky guy with him to fight.
No,
he does it himself.
Not at all.
No, exactly. And that was the big thing with him was he was the James Bond doctor.
Yeah.
And, and that's what, he did all the stunts himself. And it was pretty awesome to see, he wanted it to be physical. He wanted the doctor to be fighting against these bad guys.
And he's a big guy, so he has the presence to put that out there, especially with that opera cape swirling around him.
and the ruffles. Don't forget that.
Absolutely.
And I was, there were several times in the first, I think, maybe 2-3 episodes where I was like, doesn't he have his sonic? Why isn't he using his sonic? And then sure enough, like, I think it's episode 3 or 4, he uses his sonic for the first time. I'm like, oh, the prop guy finally found it. Like,
well, exactly. And he was great. I have no complaint about Pertwee at all.
And Delgado was amazing.
No, exactly.
I think Pertwee was good. I think Delgado did the best he could with what he had. I think the writing let him down, which is sad because I like Malcolm Hulke as a writer, but this is not one of his finest efforts.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I enjoyed it, and, let's move on. That's all we could say.
I mean,
there's nothing really to say about the colonists or any of the other nameless mining evil people,
I mean, to Michael Gordon's point, it is true that it's a little unfair reviewing it by binge watching it because it wasn't made to be viewed that way. And I think it would have been different with a week in between.
Between each episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or even a day between each, like watching, even if you did it, weekday afternoon style, I think it would have made a significant difference. One real quick, something I noticed here, one of my last notes I've got, there's a scene that it almost looks like Star Wars lifted from this, where the primitives are up on hills and stuff, and they're raising their sticks up like the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
And one of the mining carts is racing through kind of
the quarry.
The
quarry.
And it
the
looks
quarry.
Yeah, it's the quarry. But I mean, it looks straight out of A New Hope, which obviously is years after this. And it was so close to it. I gotta wonder.
There's a possibility.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm sure some of the people who worked on it were Doctor Who fans.
Oh, sure. I wouldn't doubt it at all. I did like the battles they did in the mud, and some of the fights were pretty awesome. I almost did they ever? But I almost expected if they were going to go that, watching it, were they going to go that dark that they drowned one of the guys?
I wondered that too, because he's holding him down under the water, and I'm like, are they really going to go there?
And it doesn't look like these are stunt people. It looks like these are the actors doing it.
They're the actors. They're just rolling down the quarry. But yeah, all the firefights were the action in this story was all very, very good and exciting. Did anybody else think it was weird, though, that they're firing bullets and not lasers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yes. Well, and, when they get a note from Earth, it's on a typewriter.
Right. Like, this isn't that far. It probably at the beginning of the story, and I just missed it. It was like, the year is 2014. We're in space.
It's 2472.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they make a note of saying that.
Because the calendar.
There's a
paper calendar. But Joe Grant is talking to that young lady colonist, and she says, "Oh, is this what they're wearing on Earth now?" And she says, "Yeah, I guess this is." And she says, "Oh, yeah." And it's like, "Well, it is 72." She says, "Yeah, it is 1972." And the girl looks at her and says, "No, it's 2472." And Joe was like, "Oh, I'm in the future?" And that's like, time and space, lady, come on.
That's a good point. To her, it wasn't even the time aspect of it didn't even occur to her initially. She's just on a different planet.
Yeah,
exactly.
She didn't process any of it. And I thought it was a disservice at the end too, when the doctor says, like, when they're like laughing at the brig, should we explain it to him? Nah, he'd never understand. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Dumb old army.
Oh, the brig.
Oh, Brigadier. So, any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this sucker?
I love that at the end the master just sneaks away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's very good at that.
Yeah.
Exactly. He just literally sneaks away, and his TARDIS goes just like that. It's pretty awesome. And he leaves the parking brake on, too, so it's perfect, So, all right, 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Dave, you got to go first.
I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed watching it. It could have been trimmed down a little bit, but, and again, part of my enjoyment was that I just haven't watched anything from this time period in a while. So it was fun getting back into that Pertwee era. And like I said, the action and how dynamic everything was when it wasn't being ground to a halt. But yeah, I enjoyed watching it. If it came up again, I wouldn't say, "Ugh, not this one." It was fun. The story was not told as deftly as it could have been. But you can say that about a lot of Doctor Who, I think.
True. Very, very true. Yeah. No, I think this definitely could have been trimmed at least 1 or 2 episodes easily. All right, Mikey.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I've seen better. I've seen worse. It's pretty good. Doctor and Master. Obviously, it takes a little while for the Master to come in, but once he does, Delgado and Pertwee have great chemistry together. It's fun, and they're on screen a lot together in this. It's not like they're separated through most of it, and I enjoyed, that it is of its time. So yes, the special effects and some things are not nearly to the quality that we would expect or that we'd like, but they tell the story. And I would say definitely for those people who are interested in watching it, don't sit down and watch it in 3 hours. Break it up to at least an hour a day or so. And because I did find that the half-hour increments did fly by. And so when I did watch it for an hour, I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'll move on to something else. And then, so I did think that way it was a little bit easier to take.
Okay, perfect. Mary.
I'm going to go right in the middle and give it a 2.5. I mean, I actually really like Pertwee's Doctor, and I think this one suffers in comparison to a lot of other Pertwee stories. It's hardly the worst thing I've ever seen, but there's a lot that are better than this. And it's not Malcolm Holt's best effort, that's for sure. And I think it could have been 2 episodes instead of 6. But there are some good pieces in it. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say don't watch it, but I think it's very good advice not to watch it all in one sitting, because I really don't think it works well that way. So, yeah, middle, 2.5.
Okay. Okay. This is tough for me because I want to really hate this one, but I don't despise it, and I think some of the acting saved this one because it was not the best story. So I'm going to go middle of the road with the guys and have to do a 3. I was thinking, does it deserve a 3.5? No, not at all. But, it's got to be a 3. It's Pertwee is just amazing in this. I want to learn how to do Phoenician Aikido, and it's just like I can add it to my other training. So it would be fun to do, and it would be great to see, him, learn how to do it. What he based it off of. I think he talks about it in a couple of videos that you could see on some of the extras where he learned how to do Aikido and brought it into the show. But definitely we'd love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at earthstationwho.com. And, we're going to be back again in 2 weeks, and we are going to be talking all about the Paternoster Gang. We're going back with season 3, going back to Big Finish, folks. So it should be a lot of fun to do. And of course, we want to thank Dave for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. It was really great to get back into some Doctor Who and to talk to you guys again.
Oh, dude, you're always welcome. You have an open door. You know that. Anything you want to promote, like Needless Things?
Of course. You can find Needless Things wherever you get your podcast. Every single Friday, there's a new episode. And the first Friday of every month will be an episode of Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. And then once we get sort of everything back under control, everybody gets their vaccines and everything's all safe again, we will resume 4 Needless Things a month with an additional Audible interlude, so 5 total episodes. For right now, it's just not practical to get together.
I totally understand that. And of course, let's thank our regulars. Mary, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Despite what I sounded like on this episode, Pertwee's actually one of my favorite doctors.
Oh, I could understand that. Do you want to promote your artwork?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Mr. Mike Gordon.
As always, it's my pleasure.
We have another Dragon Con report coming up very soon, don't we?
We do, yep. So that will keep us busy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The little con that hopes to go this year. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. So we definitely thank you guys for listening. But on behalf of myself, Mike, Mary, and Dave, we will see you here next time on the Earth Station Who podcast. Peace, and enjoy your TARDIS ride home.
Woohoo!
Womp, 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 womp.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.